Hi, grade 10. So let's start with question 1 of this question paper. So question 1.1 says, determine without the use of a calculator between which two integers the square root of 112 lies. So step number 1 is to list all your perfect squares, eh? So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. And so we can continue, eh? Okay, so I'm going to stop here, eh? Then I'm going to ask myself, 112 lies between which two perfect squares? So 112 would lie here between 100 and 121. So I'm going to write down my answer like this. So I'm going to write my answer like this. I'm going to say the square root of 112 lies between 100 and 121. But now I'm going to add roots on both sides as well. Then I'm going to say the square root of 112 lies between. Now I'm going to ask myself, what is the square root of 100? So the answer is 10. And then what is the square root of 121? And the answer is 11. And there I answered the question. The square root of 112 lies between the following two integers, between 10 and 11. And that's how you answer that. Let's mark. So we get a mark for writing this, and we get a mark for that. So our next question says, simplify the following, which means if there's brackets like this question, we have to remove it and add the like terms. So I'm going to remove the brackets, and then I'm just going to add the like terms, eh? And I'm going to stop there. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to write 1.2.1, and I'm going to write the question down again, eh? Okay, so now I'm going to multiply this out. I'm going to say this times this. X times 3 is 3x. Then I'm going to say negative 1 times 3, and the answer is negative 3. And then I'm going to say x squared times 3, and I get plus 3x squared. Okay, then I'm going to say again this first term but with the last term. So x times negative x is negative x squared. And then negative 1 times negative x, a negative times a negative is a positive. And then x squared times negative x is a negative x to the 3. Okay? Then I'm going to look for like terms. So this one doesn't have a partner. Then 3x will go with this x over here. And then this x squared will go with that x squared. And then this one doesn't have a partner. And I am going to write them from the highest power to the lowest power as my answer. It just looks better. So there's the highest power, so it's going to go first. It's a negative. So this one doesn't have a partner, okay? Then I'm going to go to x squared. So I'm going to look here. I'm going to say 3 minus 1 is 2. So this is a positive 2x squared. And then I'm going to look at this 3x and that x over there. They will give me a 4x. And then this negative 3 doesn't have a partner. And that is my final answer. So let's quickly mark. So you'll get a mark for multiplying the first 3 out. So there's a mark. And then you'll get a mark for multiplying this out and adding the like terms. And that's how you would get 3 marks. Our next question is 1.2.2. And here we have fractions, eh? But we're not solving for x. We are simplifying. So when you simplify fractions, you look for the LCD. Then you make the denominators the same. And then you simplify the numerator by adding the like terms, eh? by adding the like terms. And that is what we are going to do. So I'm going to write the question down. So let's find the LCD. So we're doing this, eh? So the LCD, you look at the biggest number. So our biggest number is 34. So I'm going to start there. 34 is my first option. So I'm going to ask, does 2 go into 34? Yes. Does 17 go into 34? Yes. Does 34 go into 34? Yes. So 34 is my LCD. So my LCD is 34. So I'm going to ask myself, how do I get 2 to be 34? I must multiply by 17. But what you do at the bottom, you must do on top. But because there's two terms, I'm going to put it in brackets and put the 17 in front. How do I get this to be 34? I must multiply by 2. But what I do at the bottom, I must do on top. And how do I get 34 to be 34? It is already 34, so it stays the same. So I found the LCD and I made the denominators the same, eh? Okay, so we're going to multiply, eh? I'm going to say 17 times x is 17x. And 17 times 1 is plus 17. And this is over this now. That is now 34. Minus. Then I'm going to say 2 times 1 is 2. And then 2 times negative x is negative 2x. Over 34. Okay, this is 34. And then this stays the same, eh? So plus 7 over 34. So can you see all my denominators are the same? So now I'm going to simplify the numerator. So let's go. Everything is now over 34. And then I'm going to write the numerator down. So on top I have 17x plus 17 minus. Because you have a minus, you put the next two terms in brackets like this. And then you have plus 7. So I'm going to remove the brackets. This and this, negative 2. This and this, plus 2x. Plus 7 over 34. So my like terms is this 17 and this 2. So that gives me a 19x. And then 17 minus 2 plus 7 gives me a positive 22. And everything is over 34. So there we simplified, eh? So our last question under simplifying is 1.2.3. And here I'm busy with exponents that I am multiplying. So when you multiply exponents, you must just make sure the base is the same, eh? So let's write down. The base must be the same. And then when you multiply exponents, you add the powers. So let me write the question down. So as you can see, grade 10s, 4 can be rewritten as 2 to the 2. 8 can be rewritten because it's not a prime base, but 2 is already a prime number, so I'm going to keep 2 as it is. Okay, let's change the 4 and let's change the 8. So 4 becomes 2 to the 2, and then the power stays the same, x plus 3. Times 8 becomes 2 to the 3, and then the power stays the same, and this one just stays as it is, eh? Now I'm going to remove the bracket. So I'm going to say this 2 times x and this 2 times 3. So I keep the base. 2 times x is 2x and 2 times 3 is 6. I keep the base. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times negative x is negative 3x. And this one stays the same. Okay, so did we make the base numbers the same? Yes. When you multiply exponents, you add their powers, eh? So the base numbers are the same. So I'm going to say this plus this plus this. But I keep one base. So now it's this one plus this one plus this one. Okay. And now for this part over here, the power, I'm going to add the like terms. So let's look. This 2x and this negative 3x and that positive x, they will all cancel. Okay. So that will cancel. Then 6 plus 3 is 9. minus 9. So they will also cancel. That's 0. Okay, so the answer is 2 to the 0. And anything to the 0 is 1. And that is the answer to this question. So let's see how you get marks. You get marks for rewriting 4 and 8. So there will be a mark. Then you get a mark for simplifying up until this point. And then you get a mark for your answer. 1.3 says factorize the following expressions fully. Okay? So when you factorize, you're not removing brackets. You are actually putting it back into brackets. So just remember with factorizing, always ask yourself first, is there a highest common factor? And then you take it further. So let's look at 1.3.1. So the first question is there a highest common factor? And there is. There's an x, there's an x, and there's an x. So I'm going to take out the x with the lowest power, which is just x. It's this one over here. And then inside the bracket, I'm going to have what's x cubed over x. So like this in your mind, eh? And the answer is 3 minus 1 is 2. So it's x squared. So the answer here is x squared minus. Then what's 10x squared over x? So what's 10x squared over x? The answer is 10x. So this is 10x. And then what is 21x over x? 21x over x. This and this will cancel. So here I write 21. And there's my first mark. Okay? Then it said factorize fully. So I must always ask myself, can I go further? We can go further because this is a trinomial. So I'm going to go further. I leave this x. This becomes 2 brackets now because it's a trinomial. X squared is x times x. And then 21 is 7 times 3. So I can do 7 times 3 because 7 plus 3 will give me 10. So 7 and 3. Then a minus and a plus is a minus and a minus. And that is our second mark. And that's how you would get 2 marks for factorizing that. Our next question is 1.3.2. So I'm going to write the question down. Okay, so here's my question. First question is the highest common factor? So if I look here, I don't see a highest common factor. So that's out. Then, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, I know I'm going to use grouping, eh? So let's try. I'm going to group these two and then these two. And let's see if it can take us further. So these are only 2 terms, eh? And both are squared. So I think that is the difference of 2 squares. So I'm going to write 2 brackets. So it's x plus z and x minus z. That's the difference of 2 squares. These two can't be factorized. So I'm just going to rewrite them, but I'm going to put them in brackets like that. The signs don't change because it's a positive. A plus and a plus here stays a plus and a plus when you put them in brackets. Eh? Okay, then I'm going to ask myself, this is one term. What's here that's also there? It's x plus z. Okay, so I'm going to take x plus z out. So I'm going to take x plus z out. And then in the first term, what's left? It's an x minus z. And then here, what's left? The invisible one that stands here in front. So plus 1. And then there's nothing else you can do. You factorized it fully. So the first mark is for taking out the highest common bracket in this case. And then here for taking out the common factor. And there for that answer for the 2 brackets. Let's look at 1.4. So now it says we have to solve for x. Eh? So we have to read our instructions. 1.4.1 says solve for x. There's brackets here, but then there's a term here. So this is not equal to 0. So let's write our steps down. I'm first going to remove the brackets. Eh? Then I'm going to bring everything over to the left-hand side and make it equal to 0. Then I'm going to add the like terms. So I'm just writing my steps down. Then I'm going to factorize. And then I'm going to solve for x. Okay, so let's go. Let's do that. So let's write the question down. So, okay, let's remove the brackets. So let's remove our brackets. So x times 2 is 2x. X times negative x is negative x squared. Negative 3 times 2 is this. And this times this is a positive 3x. And then this is equal to negative 2x. The next step, I'm going to bring everything to the left and make it equal to 0. So I have 2x and this. And now I'm just bringing this over. So a negative 2x becomes a positive 2x. And I make it equal to 0. Okay, before I factorize, let's quickly add the like terms. So let's highlight the like terms. This one doesn't have a partner. Then this 2x, this 3x, and this 2x, they will go together. And then this one doesn't have a partner. So I start with the highest power, which is this one. Then 2 plus 3 plus 2 is 7. So plus 7x. And then this one minus 6. And I make it equal to 0. Okay, now I have to factorize. But I don't like factorizing with this negative in front. So I'm going to divide every term by negative 1. So what does that mean? It simply means all the signs will change. A negative will become a positive. So this negative will become a positive x squared. This plus will become a minus 7x. This will become a plus 6. And I make it equal to 0. Now I'm going to factorize. There's no highest common factor, but there's 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. So this is a trinomial. So let's go. Keep the equal to 0 the whole time. X and x will give you x squared. And then what times what is 6? If you add it, it must give you 7. 6 times 1. So I'm going to write 6 and 1. And then a minus and a plus is a minus and a minus. So now I'm going to write either this is 0 or this is 0. So I'm going to write either this is 0 or this is 0. So here I'm going to bring the 6 over. X is 6 or x is 1. Okay, how would you get marks for this? First, for removing the brackets. Then for writing it in standard form here, like that. Then for factorizing, and then for both answers. And that's how you would get 4 marks. Okay, here with our next question, we still have to solve for x. But can you see we have exponents here? So with these exponents, I'm first going to make the basis prime basis. And then I'm going to take it from there. So let's do that first. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to change, this 3 is already a prime number. So this 27 I'm going to change. And then I'm first going to leave the 18 as it is. So let's see. 27 becomes 3 to the 3. Okay, that's 27. And now let's keep the 18 for now. Now I'm going to just remove the brackets quickly. And now I'm going to decide what am I going to do. So I'm going to break up this over here because there's 2 terms in the powers. So I'm going to break this up. This becomes 3 to the 3x and 3 to the negative 1. And this stays 3 to the 3x and then minus 18. Okay, so we broke up. Now I want the x's on the left hand side. So let's look. This will stay on this side. So this is one term. So it stays on the left hand side. This one will come over, so it's a minus. And then the negative 18 will stay on that side. So next in our steps is we have to factorize and we have to simplify. So I'm going to factorize. Highest common factor, what is here, that's also there. I'm only factorizing the left hand side. So it's 3 to the 3x. Open bracket. So what is this over this? So this and this will cancel. So I'm left with 3 to the minus 1. There's a minus, so there's a minus. Then what is this over this? It's the same thing, so the answer is 1, and this is equal to negative 18. So now I'm going to simplify what's inside the bracket. So 3 to the 3x. So 3 to the 3x, and in the bracket I get a negative 2 over 3. And this is equal to negative 18. And I want this by itself now, eh? So I'm going to divide by negative 2 over 3. And what I do on the left, I do on the right. So I get this to be 3 to the 3x, because this and this will now cancel. And this over that gives me a 27. So now I want the base numbers to be the same. So this is 3 to the 3x, and 27 can be written as 3 to the 3. And so now that the bases are the same, they disappear. So I only write these two down. So it becomes 3x is equal to 3, divide by 3, x is equal to 1. And that's how you do that question. Let's look at 1.5 over here. So 1.5 says solve for x, where x is an element of a real number, and they give you an inequality. So I'm going to write the inequality down. Okay, so I wrote my question down. So grade 10s, we are solving x, but can you see there's two inequality signs there? And the x I'm looking for is between the two inequality signs. So my plan is to get x by itself over here. So I want x by itself. So first, I'm going to remove this 3. So let me write this down. I'm going to remove the 3 first. Then I'm going to remove the negative 1. Then I'm going to remove the negative 1. And then I'm going to remove. And then I'm going to remove the 2 over here. So let's start with our steps. First, I'm going to remove the 3. So I am dividing by 3. So to remove it, I'm going to multiply by 3. So it means 2x minus 1 stays there. And then the negative 3 stays there, and the negative 1 stays there. So I'm going to multiply by this 3 over here. So times 3 and times 3 over there. So there, I removed the 3. So let's simplify that quickly. So this stays the same. This becomes negative 9. And this becomes negative 3. Okay, then the next step, I'm going to remove the negative 1. So this minus 1, I'm now going to plus 1. So I'm going to do that quickly. So I'm going to write 2x by itself. I keep the negative 3, I keep the negative 9. So instead of saying minus 1, I'm now going to plus 1. So I plus 1 on the left and I plus 1 on the right. So I get that answer to be 2x still in the middle. And then this will give me a negative 8. And this will give me a negative 2. Okay, I'm almost done. Now I have to remove the 2. So to remove the 2, I divide by 2. So what I do here, I do on this side and on that side. So I get 2 and 2 to cancel. I get this to be a negative 4. And I get this to be a negative 1. And that is my final answer. X is between negative 4 and negative 1. Okay, our next question is a word sum. So it says the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 39. And then determine with the use of an equation the 3 numbers. So let's see. Let's make up a number. So let's say you had 5. 5 is an integer. Let's say 5, and then let's say the number after 5. So it's consecutive, which means it follows after each other. So after 5 is 6, and after 6 is 7. So I'm making up numbers. So 5 stays 5, but I'm going to rewrite 6 as 5 plus 1. And then I'm going to rewrite 7 as 5 plus 2. But because I made up this 5, I'm going to replace 5 now with x. So I'm going to say, let's say this is x. Then this is x plus 1. Then this is x plus 2. And the question says the sum of 3 consecutive integers. So it means if I add all these numbers, so this plus this plus this, the sum of them is equal to 39. Determine the numbers, okay? So I just use 5 to make up my sum. This is my actual sum, eh? Now we're going to solve for x. So x is on the one side, so I have an x, another x, and another x. 1, 2, 3. And then on the other side, I have a minus 1, and this is a minus 2. So I get this to be 3x, and this is 36. And I divide both sides by 3. So I get my x to be 12. So that means the first 3 numbers, because the question was, what is the first 3 numbers? It means this x is 12. The next one is 12 plus 1, so it's 13. And the next one is 12 plus 2, which is 14. And we can check our answer, eh? 12 plus 13 plus 14 gives me 39. So that works out